Jason Leger. Thank you for joining me on Painting Leadership. Today we're going to be talking about something that is just exploding, and that is data and what we do with data. Except we're going to look at it in a little bit different light, and that is what else do we do besides data? We know that people have said that data is king. Data, obviously, the more data we have, the more information we can get, and that information creates insights and opportunities and gives our business and our lives and anything else we have, a little bit more logic and structure when we go to a decision-making process. And everything I just said there is true, but it's pretty dry. Let me give you an example. So let's talk about mowing the yard. And the second that I say mowing the yard, I'm sure you automatically conjure up either you don't want to mow the yard, you're glad you're paying someone to mow the yard, or maybe you love to mow the yard. But it's definitely a controversial subject for home ownership. And here's why. Because we're going to use mowing the yard in this data, information, insight, and emotion example. I can look out at my yard and I can say, my eyes are giving me some data, and that data is the grass is 2 inches tall. Well, that still doesn't do anything for me until I turn that into something. Information is, that's tall enough where snakes or maybe bugs are starting to show up, and so now that gives me opportunities and information. It gives me risk. It gives me all sorts of things to where I can make a decision. But that still does not motivate me completely to want to mow that grass today. There's still other things I can prioritize above that very easily. And here's why. It's because the grass is telling me what needs to happen. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I'm literally being manipulated by the growth cycle of the grass on what I have to do. In other words, I didn't want to do that today, but I look out and here's a task. And the task is simply saying I have to be done. It doesn't mean that I want to do it. It doesn't mean I'm emotionally connected to it. It doesn't mean I'm going to get a reward from it. And so I immediately start figuring out how can I put that down the list on my priorities. And of course we know mowing the lawn, that is something that, again, it's probably not high on your priority list unless it's something you enjoy doing. And so the data-driven part of the lawn has nothing to do with whether I want to do it, whether I'm going to do it quickly, or whether I'm going to do it well. Just because it's tall, I still have to make a decision. I still have to prioritize it. And it's manipulating me, which means that's not a good situation for me to do a good job at that particular task. Now think about that in the business world. There are tasks we wake up with, our email's full, things like that. Maybe our boss is telling us what to do, or maybe you're the boss and you're trying to tell people what to do. And so what you're, at the end of the day, creating is that manipulative environment, unless you figure out a way to attach that to some kind of emotion, reward, some type of culture, some type of belief system, to where there is a higher level of desire to get that done than simply the thing itself is forcing me to get this done. And so this person is forced to then prioritize a list of manipulative factors into just something that's more of a survive the day type of mentality rather than something they're emotionally connected to. Now let's get back to mowing. I have a neighbor who puts that sign out in the yard that says, best lawn in the neighborhood kind of thing. And they mow their yard all the time, and they spray their yard. They don't have anybody else touch it. And they do a great job of it. Now, does that mean that their grass is different than my grass? Maybe in some sort of very technical way. But at the end of the day, their grass grows, it needs mowed. And my grass grows and it needs mowed. But his result is far better than my result. His yard is consistently better than my yard. Is it because he has a mower and I don't? Nope, we have the same equipment. Is it because there's something, fundamentally that restrains me from doing a good job? No. It's because he's emotionally connected to it. He feels a reward. This is something he wants to do. And so he has a better result. And this gets back to the fundamental thing that we all know, but that we fail to do so often, and that is we cannot get so focused on the data. We cannot get so focused on a dry task or some manipulative situation we're in. If that is all we have, then the company or the person or the industry that has figured out how to turn that into something that connects with the people doing that task, something that connects with that business, and they're able to understand what the reward is or why they're doing it, or there's a belief system attached to it, they're going to perform better. The results will be better. The guy across the street, his yard is better, even though we are both perfectly equipped to do that job. We both have all the reason in the world to get that job done. But he has some pride associated with what he's doing. He believes in what he's doing, and his result will consistently be better than mine because of the human factor, the thinking and the emotional factor that's been attached to it. So as we live in this data-driven world, and we continue to get more data, real-time data, time series data, all of these things start to drive opportunities in our actions. Let's not forget that there's a human factor there that has to execute on some of these things, that has to push forwards in some way, that frankly has to want to even go down this road of getting more and more data and understand why we do that, what's the reward, what's my emotional connection, if we want to perform better than the people who have already figured this out. So take a look at how are you emotionally connected to every single thing that you do. Is there an emotional connection? Is there a reward system in place? Are you communicating to your employees, why we're doing this, and get them to believe that it's important, not just simply here's another task and there's really no human factor, reward, or emotion attached to it. And that will get us into a better place. You'll be the people with the yard that's nice. And until I change my thinking and my emotions, my yard will continue to be just barely making it, and with any luck be mowed before it gets 2 feet high. Thanks for joining us.